Hi Hermits, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dara and today I have another charity shop haul for you. This was kind of an unplanned shopping trip. I went out to buy some paracetamol and take some library books back, and we ended up having a wander around the charity shops too. And honestly, I found some real gems. I found some things that have been on my wish list for a while. I found things that I've been really curious about reading, so I'm feeling really good about the selection of books that I came home with. However, I did come home with quite a stack, so this weekend I'm probably going to have to reorganize my bookshelves just to make sure everything can fit. So let's dive right in with all of my brand new books, or brand new to me second-hand books. So the first thing I picked up was Underground Railroad by Coulson, Whitehead, and this is a book that I have seen doing the rounds for a while. I know it's won prizes. I think I also have the audiobook of this, but I did want to get a physical copy too, especially when I saw this one, which is the spine has not been broken, this has never been read, and it was 50p. But this is obviously set around the time of the abolition of slavery in the US, and it centers a character named Cora, who is obviously she's regarded the way she is because she's a slave, but she is also sort of rejected by the African community, because I believe that I don't know if she has some kind of magical powers or there's superstitions attached to her. I think that's the reason from what I understand of the synopsis, but I think it's going to be tragic. I think it's going to be heartbreaking. I think it's going to be moving, and sometimes I get in the kind of mood where that's what I want. I want somebody to stomp on my heart, and I get the impression that this book is going to deliver on that. Then we have, from that same shop, I got the final 3 books in the Neapolitan Quartet by Elena Ferrante. I actually picked up the first in the series sometime last year from a different charity shop and didn't realise at the time that it was the first in the series, but when I saw these in pristine conditions, beautiful editions, I decided to pick them up too, because again, 50p each. I already know that I love her writing style, so I know that I'm going to want to read the full series when I get to it. But we have, hang on, let me tell you these in order. Does it even say? Yes, it does. Okay. So My Beautiful Friend is the first book, which I already have sitting on my shelves. Book 2 is The Story of a New Name. Book 3 is Those Who Leave and Those Who Stay. And the final book in the quartet is The Story of the Lost Child. And this series of books chronicles the friendship of these 2 Italian girls as they grow into womanhood and live their lives. Next, we picked up Moon Signs by Sasha Fenton. So I love astrology. I really love astrology. I've studied it quite extensively, and I have a really good book on the sun signs, but I don't have anything that dives specifically in to the moon sign part of your chart. And this one we had a flick through while we were in the shop, and it just seems very clear, very well written, very comprehensive, so I'm adding that to my shelf of astrology books. Then we had a shop where you can get 3 books for £1, and the first one that jumped out at me was Ruby by Cynthia, and this has some elements that I always enjoy in books. So it's historical fiction, so it's set in the 1950s. It takes place predominantly in a small town in the South in the US, which is another thing that I love. Then we have a female character who's kind of an outcast in this town, another thing that I love. And that female character is forced to then return home to that town and deal with like old dramas and reconnect with somebody that she had like a little bit of a spark with back in the day. Another thing that I love. So because it just has so many of my boxes ticked, even though I've not heard of this book previously, I just know it is going to be for me, and it's really good condition, doesn't look like it's ever been read, and like I said, it's £3 for £1, and when you can get something that inexpensively, why not experiment and try new things. So from that same shop I also got A Whistling Woman by A.S. Byatt, and I just love this cover. It jumped right out at me with a little snail on the spine, and I didn't realise in the moment, but this is actually the final installment of a series, and I actually have the first book in the series, and I didn't even realise that book was the first in a series because it doesn't actually say it anywhere on the cover. But when I was sort of like just looking at things on Goodreads, I realised that actually this is the final book in that series. So I have a couple more to collect in the middle, but I just love the sound of it. So it's sort of chronicling a few like really eccentric characters in a very small town or a village in Yorkshire, I want to say Yorkshire, and between like the 40s and the 70s. So it just looks like it's going to be this like really like microscopic view of just like a small slice of life, or not necessarily a small slice of life, but like a small group of people, a small geographical area, but spanning a number of years. And this is an author whose writing I really enjoy. I haven't read any full books by them, but I think I've read a short story and an essay that was featured in one of my textbooks in university, and so I've had it in the back of my mind that I want to read more of this author's work. So looking forward to this. I think it's going to be fun, but obviously I will be reading them in order. And the last book that I picked up in that shop, because it was £3 for £1, was Untamed by Glennon Doyle. Now, you know, I love my self-help, I love my personal development, and I love the design of this cover. Like, I love the colours. That is why I picked this up. That is the only reason I picked this up. But do you know what? I'm not going to feel ashamed for that, because it would cost me £1 for 2 books or £1 for 3 books. So why not? And then these were like, I feel like I hardcore manifested these books. So first of all, we have The Devouring Grey, which I had seen. I'd seen somebody talk about it on BookTube and felt really compelled to pick it up. And everywhere I looked for it, it was like, it was really expensive. It was like $12.99 or something like that. And I just can't bring myself to pay for that, like that much for a single book that isn't like by a favourite author or isn't something that I've been really waiting for. So I've had it on my wish list, I've just left it there, and then I found it for 75p, brand new copy. Like, the spine hasn't been broken, it's sprayed edges, it's like very beautiful. So I'm definitely looking forward to this. But this looks like it's kind of a thriller with potentially a supernatural aspect to it. So looking forward to that, and I really do appreciate the cover of this. I think it's beautiful. And then the second book that I feel like I manifested, so I was thinking about this exact book the day before yesterday. So it's something that I actually read many years ago. It was one that I don't know if it was one of my mum's or she borrowed it from her friend or something like that, but I remember reading it twice when I was maybe 14 or 15. And it just popped into my mind the other day, and I was thinking, I really want to reread that book. And I couldn't, like, I just couldn't remember what it was called, but I could picture the cover of it, like, really clearly. And then today I found it. So, and it's Solo by Jill Mansell. And it is a romance about a woman who, like, she's not wealthy at all. She's struggling financially, and but she ends up at this event, and she meets this guy who's like very well-to-do, and they sort of have this one hot night together. And then, like, a couple of weeks later, she realizes that she's actually pregnant, but she's very committed to like having this baby and doing it on her own. And it's sort of about, it's her story. and I just remember really enjoying it when I was a kid. I don't know if I'm going to love it as much now. I really hope so, because when I look at this, it just gives me that hit of nostalgia. It makes me feel all warm inside, and I'm actually really looking forward to reading this again. Another book that I feel like I manifested, so I don't think I've posted this video yet, but a couple of weeks ago I filmed a video talking about the series that I want to start in 2022, and one of the series that I mentioned was Throne of Glass, and at the time I had Throne of Glass, like that book, out from the library, the audiobook, but I had to return it before I finished it, which really bummed me out. So, you know, there were holds on it and I've requested it again, but it might be a while before I get it. And then I found this bad boy, The Assassin's Blade, which is like the prequel novellas to that series for 75p. So I'm going to read this, and then by the time I finished, I should have Throne of Glass back so I can finish that one. And that just like is making me really happy, because I'm missing the world and I'm missing the characters, so looking forward to diving back into that. And then I've saved the best for last. Like, this is, I feel like a lifetime achievement. I can't believe that I've managed to find this. So a little bit of context. When I was 12, I moved up to the secondary school. Oh no, so I would have been 11, right? Yeah, that's right, 11. The year I turned 12, I moved to the high school, and they had this amazing library. Like, I loved the school library. I was that kid who every break time, every lunchtime would just go and hang out in the library. And I remember finding a couple of books, like witchy books, that I just loved, and I read them like I think they had maybe the first 3 or 4 in the series, and I devoured them multiple times. I loved them, and I feel like I've spent all of the years since trying to get hold of these books, and periodically, like, I will go to the library, I'll do a full search, I'll look on Amazon, I'll look on all the different book selling sites, I'll look in physical bookshops, and I've never been able to find the rest of the series. But I walked into a charity shop today and they had the full collection. So I now have in my possession all 15 of the Sweep books. So I think in America the series is called Sweep. As far as I know, in the UK it's called Wicca. But I have the full series. So this series is written by Kate Tiernan, and it tells the story of a young girl called Morgan who she finds out early on in the first book that she has like witchy powers, and then like she goes on to discover that she's actually a born witch and she's been adopted by like a Muggle family, and her birth parents, I can't remember if they like passed away or they went missing or something like that, and she has no connection to them whatsoever, and it's really about her discovering who she is, like learning about her family history and really like navigating the world. And I just had such a fun time reading them when I was a kid, and it makes me so giddy that I can now immerse myself back in this world. And just look how many there are. So you see what I mean when I say I really did come home with a massive stack of books today. So I am going to need to do some reorganising. Like, there's no doubt in my mind about that. But I don't even care. I'm thrilled about this. This has genuinely made my year. So that's all I have to say about that. Anyway, I'm going to go because my voice is starting to go. But it was lovely to talk to you today. I always appreciate having a space where I can gush about my bargain book hauls. If you ever read any of these books, specifically the Wicca ones, the Sweep ones, then let me know in the comments, because nobody in my real life has ever heard of them. Nobody can understand what this means to me. So if you can, drop me a comment and let me know. And I will see you in my next video, which hopefully you will be enjoying very, very soon.